Hey everybody, welcome to Winning with Trump. I love my country, I love my president, I love my military, I love my police officers, and I love all you awesome patriots. Okay, I'm going to talk about Obiden. I saw yesterday, I guess I don't know what he was doing, a small rally, I guess, I'm not sure how many people were there, I'm sure it was under 10, but he was talking about how he wanted a mandated lockdown. Totally different than what President Trump wants. That's what he's going to do, quote unquote, when and if he gets elected, which we all know he's not going to be president. President Trump's going to be president for 4 more years. But he wants a mandated lockdown. Also, he was talking about how he was going to get the 7 experts, the scientists, and they're unelected officials. All these unelected officials that didn't know what they were doing all this time, that had said one thing and then come back and said something else and went by certain models that, none of the models were right. So why would he give power to these people when they don't know what they're talking about and they didn't know what they were talking about then? It's crazy. He said 7 of the top health experts would dictate what we're going to do. I mean, no thank you. We know what they did before, and they dictated, this quote-unquote 2 weeks to slow the curve, and it's 6 months later, so no thank you. And they all got it wrong. Why would we want to listen to them? They said that New York would need 45,000 respirators. They said that 2 million people were going to be dead, and that that what we were doing, the reason we had the quote-unquote lockdown was to slow the curve, was to save the hospitals. Well, how'd that work out? Not very good. They've gone back and forth on whether to wear a mask, whether not to wear a mask, and that was Dr. F and Dr. B saying that. One time you needed to wear it, the next time you didn't need to wear it, and he was on, not sure what show, a Sunday show, and the guy point blank asked him, Dr. F, people will be listening to you, so you're saying that we do not need to wear a mask? And he said yes, that we did not need to wear a mask. So why should we believe him now? We shouldn't. But Obiden's you're not going to get to call the shots anyway. Not that he would remember, because he will not. Honestly, my opinion is that these quote-unquote experts need to pay for their mistakes, because they made some huge mistakes, and they need to be held accountable for it. We would. They're not trustworthy, and we don't know, whether they're telling us the truth or not, or whether they have an agenda, which we know they do have an agenda, and we know what their agenda is, and it was to destroy America. This was just part of their plan. It's amazing that 9/11 was 19 years ago, and we have the CV-19. I don't think that's a mistake, and I'll just leave it at that. Getting back to the inconsistencies of the doctors, they've been very inconsistent. And the director of the CDC today, Robert Redfield, said that I might go as far as to say that the mask is more of a guarantee to protect me against the CV, that when I take the CV back. They're going back and forth. And he went back later on Twitter and said he believes 100% in the back. So, we'll see. Who knows? We don't even know if they're telling the truth, or, we don't know, because we know they have an agenda. But we also have decades of medical science that are randomized, controlled studies that show that respiratory viruses, that the mask does absolutely nothing. No reason to push the mask except to promote fear. That's the only reason that they're promoting the mask, is so everybody will be afraid, and when you see that mask on their face, it draws up the fear again. And that's why they're doing it. That's what, because, you know, you see them like Nancy P., you know, when she's in the beauty parlor getting her hair blown out, she didn't have a mask on, and she was in a enclosed setting, but that was, she thought it was private though, you know, because her mask on is only for the public, to promote fear. That's all it's about, you know. And also, talking about the mandates and the lockdowns, Hawaii had some of the harshest mandates that there was in the United States, and they had cases that rose 8 to 10% higher at a fast rate. So clearly, you know, the lockdowns don't work, you know. One of the doctors was saying, well, we don't have a pandemic anymore. What we have is a case-demic, and that masks have nothing to do with it. Obiden is saying also that states are not going to have any power under his CV response, that he's basically going to have all the power, which I don't know how he can do that. He'd have to have martial law, because there's no way that he can do it. Remember when he was talking to President Trump and telling President Trump to do this mandate? I guess, you know, his 47 years in the government, he has not learned that you just can't do that. You just can't go out and lock everybody down. We have rights. Whether they think we do or not, we do have rights. You know, Obiden might not think so, but we do. You know, he was also saying that there needs to be a national criteria for opening up schools and opening up businesses, and also another national mandate. You know, bigger government is what they want, and that's not what we want. We want our own rights, and we don't want the government telling us what to do. And if Jody had his way, that's what would happen, because they've jumped off the left Looney Tune cliff. You know, they think that you ought to be able to tell us what to do all the time. No, our government does not work that way. Also, there was a study in 1919. Back then they were called Gauze masks. And the conclusion of an epidemiologist said that they made no difference in the course of the epidemic. That was true back in 1919, and it's true in 2020, you know. And Obiden says that he follows the science and only the science, but this is what he said. Cases and deaths are going to spike this November, and an additional 215,000 Americans are going to die. I mean, how do you, if there, you know, science, how do you, that's not something, that's his opinion. And I mean, it's another fear-mongering is all it is. If there's a universal masking, these deaths could be cut in half. What a ridiculous statement. I mean, but he only goes by science and only science. Yeah, there's no science to back that up. No science at all. And the virus is starting to go away because of natural herding, and your immune system kicks in. And they've proven that, and they said that. That's what's happening. So a vaccine might be mute. There might not, I mean, by the time, you know, November rolls around, it's going to be gone anyway. And we all know November 4th, we're not going to hear another word about the virus, because it really doesn't exist to begin with. You know, and all their models, all that Obiden is going by the quote-unquote Washington models. We know what all that's about. It's all a game. And they've been wrong from day one, and they're wrong now. So anything he says is a joke. Anything he says is a joke. They've all been wrong since March. They never got it right. Never got it right. And I'm not sure if they did that on purpose or not. You know, because they're trying to promote fear. And for a while it worked, but Americans are waking up and it's not working anymore, you know. And the reason that they're saying November is because there's no way from now to November that you can prove it right or wrong. You know, so he can basically say whatever he wants to, because there's no way to prove it right or wrong. I mean, we don't know. We do not know. So therefore, he tells more lies, like he always does. You know, but it's just, they're just trying to fearmonger, is all they're trying to do. They're trying to win this election however they can. They think if they can get people to stay home, you know, and do their mail-in voting, do their cheating, that they can win. So everybody has to get out and vote. And I know President Trump's going to win by a landslide. He's going to win by a landslide. You know, these people, the left-wing loonies that have been promoting fear all this time, they need to come up with something. They need to point to something because they're running out of time. You know, this pandemic is going away. You know, it's going away. So their pandemic didn't work exactly like they said, exactly like they thought it would. And they're running out of time, and they know it. They absolutely know it. Also, and this is horrible. Obiden was in Florida, and he had 6 veterans that he was talking to. Y'all may have heard about this. And he started to tell a story about a Marine veteran that had served 6 tours. He said that, and I want to read it to make sure I get it right. He had been deployed 6 times. He got home from his deployment, saw a woman walking her dog, ran over, killed her, killed the dog, threw her in the back of his pickup truck, took her down to I-95, molested her, put her in the back of the truck, and then went home. And he says, if my memory serves me right, before he tells the story. What a joke. But how disconnected and insensitive to sit there and talk to our national treasures, our heroes, our patriots, and tell them a story like that. So basically what he's saying is when you come home from a long deployment, you come home and kill people, which we know is not true. But that's what a joke he is. That's how disconnected. He doesn't really care about our veterans. He doesn't care. And making statements like that just proves that he does not care. Very insensitive. Very insensitive. Also, Obiden is 4 points behind with the Hispanic vote. And so he goes to a Hispanic Heritage Month event, and he says, I just have one thing to say. And he starts playing this Spanish song, and I cannot pronounce the name of it. But the name of the song means slowly, and the words to the song, just a few words, are slowly I want to breathe your neck, slowly let me murmur things in your ear, I want to see your hair dance. What in the world? But you know what? None of us should be surprised because he's been doing this for years. But the Hispanic population was not amused by what he did. And many of them said they're voting for Trump because he has done exactly what he said he was going to do. He has delivered on his promises. So, you know, it just appears to me that whatever Joey does backfires on him. Not that he remembers it, but whatever he does backfires on him. So, but I mean, he's just so disconnected. And these are just a few examples of how disconnected he is. So, we all know what to do. Trump 2020 by a landslide. Everybody's got to get out and vote. I want to say I love my country. I love my president. I love my military. I love my police officers. And I love all you awesome patriots. Thank you for watching, and if you would, please like, share, and subscribe. YouTube is deleting my subscribers and my likes. And I'm sure it's because I speak out about my country, how much I love my country, and how much I love my president. Thank you for watching, and God bless everyone out there. God bless President Trump. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.